This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by.
Hi.
Yeah, guess who's with me? Bug.
I'm back.
Yes, and there's a reason that Bug is back today, and that's because Josh is not up to doing a podcast.
Right.
And some issues have come up, and I think that it's a difficult situation. They keep on coming up like this, so Bug and I thought that, you know what, we should talk about that today.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the crisis. It's about the crisis mode that we have to jump into practically daily.
Yeah. It's a pretty regular basis, if anything.
Right. So what happens is you can just think about any subject, and we try to back off. You know, Josh is an adult now, and all the instruction from all the professionals, and we really value the information that they've shared with us. And one of the things that they've said is that, you know, try to back off as much as we can to allow him to do things on his own and for himself. So what we're going to talk about today is just the crisis mode that we have to go into all the time. So whether something is big or something is small, whether there's a huge impact or it's just a little bump in the road for that day, it seems like we are always on alert. We're always having to step in and get him back on track when we can, and just take whatever it is, we're having to take over. We're having to step in, regardless of the situation. And it seems like there's things that he's been taught. So whether we're talking about something that's really not significant in the big picture, but things that he's been taught day after day after day after day, and then we think that he's got a grasp on it. So it's right in our face. It's like getting hit with, as Chrissy said to me the other day, because she experienced this with Josh. She said it was like, like getting hit with this brick. Like, okay, it's right in your face, and you didn't expect it. You didn't see it coming. How could you prepare for it? You can't, because you don't know it's coming. You would never think that something is going to happen, and then it does, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, but Buddy doesn't know that you got hit by a brick, and he just walks in with a sandwich and goes, hey.
Right. Yeah. That's true. And for those of you listening, Buddy is what Bug calls her brother, Josh.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. He's oblivious to the fact that something just happened often.
Mm-hmm.
So Chrissy shared this story with me that happened, that Josh was helping her with groups, which is where he goes in and he mentors the kids that are in middle school. She had brought in this wonderful plate of fruit, and thinking that all of the middle schoolers would get what they wanted first, and she and Josh would go last because they are the adults, and that's what you do. Except Josh did not wait until all the kids got some. He took his turn, and he took all the strawberries. Right? It's one of those little things, like a social interaction thing that you would, how many times have we told him? How many times, in how many different ways, Bug, have we shown him that you share, you wait your turn, you don't take everything all at once out of respect for others. And it's a lesson that...
Right, and it's something that he's normally pretty good at, and then out of nowhere...
Mm-hmm. And Chrissy was like, I wanted a strawberry. and yeah, I get it. She should have gotten a strawberry, right?
Yeah.
He shouldn't have hogged up all the strawberries. And in that situation, she experienced what we experience all the time, which is you think that he's got something figured out. You think that it's stuck. And the reason we think that is because day after day, his behaviors show that he understands it.
Mm-hmm.
And those types of things that make you go, wait, what? Happen every day. So this example with him not understanding something that we've spent a lifetime on, it got Chrissy's attention because she's like, whoa,
Right.
that's not like him. And that is exactly the type of scenario that happens over and over again
Right.
in daily life with Josh. And I've asked about it, gone to doctors about it, and just tried to figure out, what can we do? How does, is this Josh? Is this autism? And yes, the answer is that what I've been told is that this is kind of a characteristic that pops up with folks with autism.
Right. But they don't have any answers for you. I mean, I've been to therapy sessions with you before where they're like, well, give them more rein.
Mm-hmm.
Give them more opportunity to grow and to show you that they can do it, but be prepared to catch them if they fall. And it's
yeah, but
that doesn't solve any problems. That doesn't help.
Right. And how do you catch someone when you don't know they're going to fall?
Yeah.
That's the whole point, is that autism is so hard to figure out. What do we do? When do we do it? What does Josh need?
Right.
What he needs today. We're not even talking today. We're talking this hour. We're talking this minute. And he does a great job of doing what he needs to do up until the very moment that he doesn't. And then we're looking at it going, it's easy to beat ourselves up about it, because should we have seen it coming? Should we have been more involved? Should we have, but it's tricky because here's the truth. He's an adult. And I'm tired. I'm just tired. I would like to have more time for me and the things that I want to do with my life.
Right.
And I say that out loud, and I'm not taking it back because it's how I feel, but at the same time, what adds to the frustration, and is a big chunk of that frustration, is just the fact that there's no answers for this. It just keeps happening, and no matter how we're trying to insulate or whatever safety net, if you don't know that he's going to need a safety net, how do you provide one? So the reason that today is upsetting, and the reason that Josh cannot be on the podcast today, is because, like I just said, a small example would be the strawberry issue, and that example, and a bigger thing that happened today, which is 2 weeks ago, Josh said he got ready for school and was ready to go, and then he goes, oh, I just remembered this is spring break. I don't have class this week. And I said, are you sure? And he said, yes. I said, did you see it on the syllabus? He said, yes. And I said, okay. In the back of my mind, I thought I should look this up on the website. And I didn't, because I got busy. Because he was on spring break, which means he's in a good mood, which means things are going all right. And I didn't check. So then last week, when he went to school, his dad took him to school, was no parking. There was no cars in the parking lot. And he went in and found out that was spring break, not the week before. So today is the first day back after spring break. We had him email his instructors at school, letting them know what happened, and that if there was any way he could make it up. Well, he got an email today. He didn't check. And honestly, it was something that I guess I didn't ask him to check over the weekend. It's been busy and, whatever. Maybe I didn't want to know. Maybe I didn't want to know what they were going to say because I had a feeling that I knew. At any rate, he got an email from that instructor saying that he's been dropped from the class.
Yeah, he's missed too many classes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And because of that, he shut down. And he's not able to be on the podcast with us today. And I understand that how difficult that is. I understand that hurts him, that something he had worked for, something that he arranged, that he made happen, is now done. So we don't know if what is going to happen in his other 2 classes. But we'll have to find out. But this is one of those big things. This is one of those big things that when they happen, and they're pretty major like this, I look at it and go, I should have done something different. I should have been there for him. I should have checked the website. I should have whatever. We're talking about college right now, but you just replace it with anything that
medication.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, any one of us can tell if he misses a day of medication. Mm-hmm. We know.
Yeah, we do.
Because he doesn't function. He shuts down completely, or he just, he's a very different person, and the day turns into a giant catastrophe. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's something that you can catch pretty quick, but it doesn't save the crisis. It
doesn't. It doesn't, and we've tried. So what you're saying is that, yes, it can be something that we can be on top of at the same time. We can't control everything.
Right.
And in efforts to help him, to develop the life skills that he needs to be successful, taking your medication is one of those things. So we've tried pill boxes. We try the location of the medication so that I can see. He puts it in a different place so I can see if he's taken it. He has a calendar that he writes on there if he took it. There's this whiteboard where he has a little magnet, and there's an AM and there's a PM, and it's like a little thimble. And it's like you could fill it up when the medicine hasn't been taken. He flips it around, so it's like a cup getting dumped out when he took it. Right. And
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, he came up with that.
Huh.
Yeah.
He's very clever.
Yeah. But if these are his ideas, and we both agree it's a pretty cool idea, why in the heck doesn't he stick with that?
Right.
Why would he possibly miss a day of medication as that example? You don't see it coming because there's a system in place. And if there's a system in place that's working, it's working right up until the minute it doesn't.
Right. And you never know when it's not going to work anymore. It comes out of nowhere. That's that brick in your face.
Right. That's true. So you don't, clearly, because you're his sister, And now as mom, you have a different relationship with him than I do. What's your experience with him? Is there anything that jumps out at you that startled you or surprised you or made you realize one day that, oh, this happens, it sneaks up on us?
Well, I mean, I kind of just look at him and I think, I'm so proud of him for who he is. I'm so proud of how far he's come. And I think that we all look at him and we think, okay, so we all have that outlook. Like, he's overcome so much. He was supposed to make it through elementary school, he said that. And he graduated high school. He's trying to go to college now. Like, he's doing great. So we're all like, yeah, go buddy. And you think, oh, he's got it. But you never know when he doesn't. So when we were living in Pennsylvania, he decided, I'm going to try to go out on my own. So we're all proud of him. Like, he has it all mapped out. And he tells us his plan. And it all made sense. And it was good. And, the landlord was someone we've known for years and someone we trusted. And it was all perfect on paper.
But when we went there,
yeah, the moment that we went to the place he was trying to rent, it wasn't so perfect. There was no insulation, so you could see through the walls.
There were some like holes where you could literally see through
you could literally see the road through the wall. There was a bat room, literally a bat room. Not like Batman, which is pretty awesome. No, like a living bat. So they couldn't open the room.
Yeah. Multiple living bats.
Yeah. There were several bats that occupied one of the rooms, which I think is just rude that they didn't pay rent. But that's neither here nor there. But I mean, I just look at that and I think, okay, he's got it. This is exciting. I'm so proud of him. And then, excuse me. And then, oh, crap.
Yeah, like the water smelt so bad and was...
I forgot about that.
Yeah, like a rusty color.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's different since I have not lived with him in so many years, but as adults, it still is the same thing. It's just the problems are different now. So instead of like in high school and middle school, growing up, it was okay, so I think it was like Monday nights up there, he took out the trash, right? Mondays?
I think so.
So, something so small he does this every week, and that he actually, like, looked forward to checking the mail. That was one chore that he always took out the trash. Like, there are certain things that, that was his thing. And when it was not done, I mean, trash is a big deal because that's disgusting. But, it's... So the issues obviously are pretty different. I mean, yes, he still is responsible for taking out the trash here. But it's not something that I see anymore.
Right.
So, I feel like he's always going to have some of the same occurrences, some of the same issues, but I think that because he is an adult and he acknowledges that he's an adult, sometimes it's harder for him because he knows that he could be far more functioning if he wasn't held back by this disability. And I think that makes him angry.
Yeah. Has he talked to you about that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, He said, like, there are days where he feels that, he doesn't even think about it because it's just who he is and that's not how his brain works, and that's that. But there are other things. He always tells me how proud of me he is. He always, like, on a pretty regular basis. And he tells me how cool I am, and I'm like, shut up. Stop. Don't stop.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, but the one thing that he always tells me is how I've got it together. And I think that at any age, you're going to have certain things that, yeah, you got it together, and then you got other things that's like, what happened?
And then you get to the next and you're like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm almost 27, and I act like it. So I do things, and I'm just like, what was that? But, and you do too.
What?
I know.
Don't judge me.
But he doesn't see that. He just, I think that he just looks at me and thinks that I'm
got
a
it all
gift.
figured out. Yeah. Well, you are a gift.
Thank you. You're welcome,
A re-gift.
Right. But I don't know. The whole point of all of that is, he sees those things, and there are times when he just is like, wow, how did I mess that up so bad? And he hurts.
Yes. So getting this information today for him is devastating.
Yeah.
And it's something that he thought that he was right on track, that he knew the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was somebody else had their syllabus out, and he looked over at their syllabus and thought that was the dates. Those were the dates.
Right.
So that's how that happened. The difference is that when you give the example of him being younger and, the trash day or different things that would come up, a big, huge difference was that when he was younger, I was complete. I'm invested now, but when he was young, that was my job.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I looked at it. That was my job.
Right.
First and foremost, to make sure that both of you were getting all that you needed, and every opportunity that we could possibly.
I'm still your job. What are you?
Yeah. You just don't. He's like overtime. Yeah. So here's what's different. When he was younger, I had say so. When he was younger,
Right.
The bottom line is I was making the decisions on his behalf because he was a kid.
Right.
Just like I made those decisions for you because you were a kid. Just like you make those decisions for your kids because you're the mom and that's what you do. Okay, so now he's an adult and he wants to make his own decisions. He wants to do things on his own, and I want that for him.
Right.
And I want that for me. And what happens, what happens is over and over again, we do like this little dance where I back off and your dad backs off and we allow him to just experience what it is he wants to experience. And when I say allow, it's because there are things that come up that even though he's an adult, we put on the brakes on his behalf because it's not a safe situation, right? So there are some things that we just step in and say, we rethink that. What's a compromise?
Right.
But So there's this, like I call it, this dance, because we try to give him as much space as he needs to just have his own life. And what happens with that is when he goes on that, because we're trying to back off, and there are times when it's really good, we feel like we can then, especially me, that I can do my thing. And not focus on him constantly throughout the day. When that happens, things like happened today happen. And it's just a constant struggle of knowing what to do, how much to do, when to back off, when to double check, when to triple check, when to guide and direct, and that's on top of the prompting and redirecting, and then prompting and prompting and prompting and prompting that takes place regardless. So the prompting and redirecting is just what I'm saying is that fits into the scenario of me doing the things in my life that I feel are important and still being there for him.
Right.
When I can see clearly that it's an opportunity for him where I back off, it's really hits hard for him and then for me. And then, of course, it doesn't do anybody any good to say, oh, I should have done this, or
right.
Why didn't I do that? Because,
Well, you can't. I mean, if you say that, then you're just saying, well, I'm never going to give him this opportunity. But you don't know if he can do it a few years from now or,
right.
Even next week.
Mm-hmm.
Because next week he might be okay. You never know with him.
I think that's also the big crux of what we're talking about is there's so much time where he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he does things, he does things in his own way. So, being okay means colors have to be just right, textures have to be just right, sounds have to be just right. Everything, you've got to have the food that he likes to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have the clothes that he likes wearing. It goes on and on. That all of those things are super important for his day to be a success. But that's normal for us.
Right.
That's just the way it is. So we're talking about those things that are beyond that, where you just kind of this glimmer of hope, like this is working, and then he hogs all the strawberries.
Yeah. I think that this podcast is very special because I feel like a lot of times the subjects are really important. But sometimes they make it seem like Buddy is just got it together and it's easy. And it's not. It's not easy for anybody. And,
right.
Sometimes he reminds me of Connor. Connor is my 2-year-old. And whenever Connor gets excited, he goes berserk and is a nut job.
Yeah.
But the same thing whenever he yes, he's awesome. But the same thing whenever he's upset, he just crashes.
Yeah.
Because
he's 2.
Yeah.
That's what 2s do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, like in a bigger form.
Yeah.
And with more words that you can understand.
Yeah, Buddy.
Yeah, but it's very much the same in a lot of ways, where the crash is just devastating.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Right. Only right. Yeah, absolutely. And Connor's troubles are troubles that a 2-year-old has.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Connor's not going to college yet.
Yet it influences you. It has as much impact on you as what it is that we're describing with Josh, which is that it can totally stop what you're doing. If Connor's gonna have a fit, that kind of directs how you're gonna react, how your day right then is gonna go.
Right.
Are you gonna put him in the car and remove him from a situation and take him home for a nap? Well, picture me trying to put Josh in the car. Yes.
That's hysterical. And awful, because it's true.
I know.
Oh.
Yes.
You gotta take him to the train at Walmart.
I should. Yes. Well. And there's this such dichotomy that's so confusing too. Josh is so much smarter than I am.
Yeah.
Not
enough. He's a genius, Mom.
Yeah.
Legally, let me save myself here.
Yeah.
My brother is a legal genius.
Yes, this is true. And so because of that, right, yeah. Because of that, there's so many conversations that we can have and experiences that he gets into and opportunities that come about. It's just frustrating that opportunities that he's intelligent enough to have
right
go well, and then they fall through the cracks in this case because he read the syllabus wrong, which is a mistake that people can make. It's just that those kinds of things are commonplace. And that might be the thing that happened, but was it the thing that happened? Was he having an off day?
If it was just this, if it was just
right.
that week,
yes,
right. Then
that's a good point.
He would still be in school. But they dropped him because he missed so many days, which means that due to other issues on top of this, just one thing after another, this was the
right. It's a really good
cake.
Right, it's a really good point that you're making. That I think is important to note that Josh's difficulties have kept him from school more than just this week. That 2 weeks ago when he thought it was spring break.
Right.
So yeah. Right. It's something that we can't. The whole point of all of this is that it hurts today because he hurts, because something that he worked for is done. That doesn't have to be a permanent, he can go next semester. Right. Hopefully we'll hope that the other two classes are still going to let him stay. We don't know that yet. It's hard. It's hard when he hurts. And it's hard to gear back up for us that love him and his insulation, that when we gear up and we put so much in behind him, it's hard to gear up to do that again the next time.
Right.
But we have to.
All that any of us want is to see him successful.
Yeah, whatever that looks like for him, right.
And, whenever the small things happen, it can be detrimental. But the big ones, it's,
yeah, how do you overcome? How do you help him overcome?
And it's hard because you can't.
Right.
There is absolutely nothing that we can do to help him.
Right.
Because when he shuts down, he just wants to be by himself.
Well, and also when he shuts down, there is no reaching him.
Mm-mm. No, none.
So he can be there with us, but he's not having any sort of experience that would allow him to communicate with us and in regards to how he's feeling or what he wants, what he needs, what he expects.
Yep.
It seems like there's a lot of it's almost like a mourning over and over again. Those opportunities lost. And I know that sounds pretty dramatic, and maybe it's because it just happened today, so it kind of freaking feels pretty dramatic.
No, it's, I mean, it might sound dramatic, but that's exactly what it is. So for anybody who's listening who doesn't have this experience, and then for those of you who know exactly what we're talking about, it's not an exaggeration, it's exactly that.
Yeah. So we just do the only thing that we can do, is, I'm going to schedule an appointment today for us to go to his counselor that he really likes, give him the opportunity to talk to somebody that's not us, and express himself and hopefully help him to feel better. And, we're just there for him the next time.
Yep.
That's all we can do. Today, I know this, and you know this, that because this happened, historically, when things of this magnitude take place in Josh's life, today cannot ask anything of him today.
Mm-mm. No, he's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I understand it. But don't know how to keep this from happening. If anybody out there has figured out a way,
let us know.
Yes, we will send you jelly bellies.
I'll bake you cookies.
Yeah, she'll bake you cookies. Yeah. So, anyway, this has been a difficult podcast. Difficult subject, difficult day.
It was important.
Yeah.
I mean, they all are, but...
Yeah, is it just because you're here?
Well, yeah, No, it's... I feel like the ones that are difficult are going to touch more people. Because the people who are experiencing this, they need to hear.
That they're not alone?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had answers. Not just for me, not just for him and our family, but something that would really help others to know. I like the idea. Like I like it in life when there's a solution. When there's something that is going to help. And these kind of things, it is, like you say, this is a tough one. It is a tough one because it's one of those times that we don't have answers. So, I guess since we don't have answers, we can wrap it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're useless. Oh,
right. The thing that I would say is that, consistency is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And never... I don't know. I was going to say, you just never stop trying to reinforce the positive aspects of life. Even though we didn't do that today, you and I on this podcast. So, yes, it's super important.
You know what? He may be a mess today.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he got to today is awesome.
Yes. Yep. I agree.
And even if it didn't go the way that he wanted, I am so proud of him.
Yeah. Me too.
So.
Me too. That's a great place to end it.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. Dave does his magic, and he has placed this podcast. You can find it, I think, on 15 different places, and I don't know where they are. I think it's iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube.
Oh, cool.
I don't know other ones, but
I just find when you post it.
Yes,
on Facebook.
On Facebook. Facebook. It's Sonya King Comedy is my Facebook. And so thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Bug. All right. Bye, everybody. Love you.
Bye.